This is your sound check. What'd you have for breakfast?
I had smoked salmon, roasted potato, and avocado.
You are a chef.
I'm Robin Sessingham, and this is The Zest. Citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm, The Zest celebrates cuisine and community in the Sunshine State. This week, summer in Florida means our choices of local produce are getting kind of thin. We talk to the executive chef of Tampa's Oxford Exchange and get his ideas on using summer fruits and veggies. Plus,
it has to have some scars. That's okay. Perfection has a cost, and it's very high.
Are we talking life or mangoes? Or is it the same thing? We have a fascinating discussion with a philosophical mango expert who explains why Floridians are so enchanted with the fruit. Only in South Florida would someone ask, "What's your favorite mango?" and get a response. In mid-July, thousands of visitors attended the International Mango Festival near Miami to sample mangoes, listen to lectures, and buy trees. Our correspondent, Janet Keeler, was there, and she takes us behind the scenes of the festival at Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden in Coral Gables for a conversation with Noris Ledesma, the curator of tropical fruit at Fairchild. The Colombian-born scientist explains why mangoes are such an important crop for Florida and lets Janet sample some truly rare varieties, including one that is extinct in the wild.
We have been promoting mangoes for a reason. Mangoes are very adaptable. They are strong trees, even though they are not from the Americas. They can travel and move from the tropics to the subtropics. And the farmers can use the worst land they have in terms of rocky soils, sandy soils. Then they cannot grow vegetables, perhaps, or they cannot grow avocados, and they are more demanding in growing conditions, but they can use it for mangoes. So this is the beauty of this crop. They need very little. They need almost no water. One of the requests is, I would like to have a mango for more than just a month. What I'm going to do with all this fruit is so abundant. So what I'm going to do, my freezer is full. So we create choices. We call it the curator choices. And there are mangoes that are very early here in South Florida. So you can have a mango tree that is going to bear in May. And then you have a month later, you have another one. You enjoy that one. And next month you have another. You can extend the season of mangoes here in South Florida with different cultivars for 4 and 5 months.
So Indians that have moved to South Florida, or Dominicans or Haitians or people from the islands, these fruits that they find here, they're a taste of home for them, aren't they?
Yeah, well, the mangoes arrived to the islands in the Caribbean that you mentioned, and also to the Americas. They came from India. Mm-hmm. And the first, it was two movements in about 1700s probably. One went from India to the north, and they reached La Española first, here in the Caribbean. And they moved to all the islands, including Cuba, Jamaica, and they reached also the Keys here in South Florida. And finally, Florida, the peninsula of Florida, that was with the pirates in about 1700s. So they brought the turpentine mango. There are some of these tiny mangoes with a lot of fiber that people, sometimes they don't like it because it have this aftertaste. But it has a lot of importance in terms of heritage today, and I will explain it. These tiny mangoes are polyembryonic. That means that one seed can generate more than one seedling. And they are very prolific. So all these seeds that came with the pirates, they just germinate wild here in South Florida. There are some old trees that can tell the story. And they are in Pine Island in the other coast. So then, in about 1900s, in early 1900s, Dr. David Fairchild went to India, and he brought 36 mango trees already grafted. But in those days, Miami was almost a swamp. It was no conditions to grow them. So just one survived, and that was the mulgova tree. The mulgova tree was planted in one of these backyards in Coconut Grove. And the tree grew and bloomed during the winter time, which is usual. Change pollen with the turpentine that arrived 300 years ago. Nobody paid attention. The mulgova produced fruit, and the fruit fell in the ground and created a lot of seedlings under the canopy. One of those babies grew, matured, produced fruit, and time passed by, and the owner of the tree went outside looking for the mango fruit. But mango that she recalled was yellow skin, not that big, but this one was completely different. It was a fleshy, colorful red mango, and she didn't recognize that as a mango. So she took the fruit, took it inside of the house, shared it with her husband, and he came and see if that was a vine or something that was growing in the tree. And no, that was a mango. So this family that I'm talking about is the Hayden family, and that's our Hayden mango. And after that, everybody was just crazy, looking for another discovery like Hayden. And they start all these aficionados creating all these beautiful mangoes that we have today. So we have a collage of mangoes that is the heritage from the mango that was brought by the pirates in 1700s, then crossed their genes with the mango that survived, that Dr. David Fairchild brought back. So we have Tommy Atkins, Ken, Kit. All these are part of this story. Thing. Flavor is so attached with the roots, the environment. Now, for example, this year, our mangoes are not that good. We have a very raining, it rained almost every week. When we had the blooming, we lost the majority of the crop because of the raining season. And it came so early. We are almost no mangoes in the trees right now. And this is supposed to be the peak of the season. Mm-hmm. That's why we choose Mango Festival in the second weekend of July. But now with the weather that you never know what is going to happen, everything is moving late, early, then it's not the same anymore. This is the other reality that we are dealing, because the global warming is a reality, and things are changing, and it's more challenge in these days and in the future days to produce our food. And the most important thing for this crop for me, it is put us together. We can melt celebrating with mangoes. It doesn't matter the language you speak, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the country you are coming from. Everybody just get together, share the recipes, stories, memories. That's what we need. It is just bad news almost all the time. Then we need something good. That's right. I believe. That's why I love mango so much. So working with all these mangoes, I get attached to them, and I want to mix. I think in my mind, and I can mix the genes with this flavor, and I can dream about it. And for example, here I have the blue mango. It is super early. And it's blue when it's in the tree because it have a natural coat. It's like a wax. And when you see in the tree, it's not shiny like this.
And it fits in the palm of your hand, doesn't it? Small.
It's very small. These are the mangoes. The wild mangoes, normally they are not large. They are small. We select the mangoes and we improve them. Humans, we did it for many generations. But this is how it started. This is the ancestors of the mango. It is dark purple, and inside it is, I'm going to cut the mango so you can see it. It is
always have a lot of juice on your hands when you're cutting mangoes, yes. Right?
You know,
Beautiful.
there's I enjoy when I see videos. Then they get so complicated to teach how to eat a mango. And I just get messy and I go to the sink and I like to be with my face all yellow. I don't mind that. But I have to be more sophisticated and try to teach people another ways to do it. So because they are not that wild like I am. So I'm cutting this like a flower, because when they are small and they have fiber, you can smell it and try to describe how the smell is very different.
It's very different, isn't it? It has kind of an earthy taste, smell. It's almost like, I want to say sour, but it's something.
Yeah, this one is from Borneo and is extincted in the wild.
Oh, okay.
So now they have another relatives that look similar. But this particular species, this is Mangifera casturi, is extincted in the wild. And we are using the pollen of this mango to cross it with the mangoes that we have today, to create a mango that is more resistant to diseases. The skin is very thick. This is good for chipping. So it can handle chipping better.
So that's a problem too, and a challenge with a lot of the mangoes, that they don't ship well. So that's why we find them here in South Florida and maybe not in a lot of other places.
Correct. So it's very important when you are trying to develop a mango for the industry, what is needed. So one characteristic is the skin. And color of the skin is also very important. Yellow or light skin, it shows the imperfections of nature. It can be latex that they get stain. It can be a scarf from a branch that just fell off. Anything, and they get rejected. The rejections for yellow mango skin is about 40%. Farmers lost about 40% of their crop because they have imperfections. They get rejected. We have to learn more about all these issues and understand that nature is that way. That's that it make it so beautiful. It has to have some scars. That's okay. Perfection has a cost, and it's very high. And I really mean it, because our farmers are losing 40% of the crop after they are taking care of the fruit for over a year. It's more than that, because they start producing by the year 5. And then they have the crop, they are going to sell it, and they get rejected because they have a scar. So I think it's very important that our community understand what is happening. But it takes time. And we don't have time. So we have to create a mango that it fits with all these requirements. So it is better a mango that has a dark skin, so it can camouflage all these imperfections. If you have a stain or a scarf in a mango that is almost black, it doesn't matter. But the purple mango is a mango that I would like to create, because in people's mind means healthy. It means antioxidant. It means and it's good for your skin.
So I'm just going to bite into this.
Yes.
Okay.
And wait a little bit. It is nothing that you taste before. It has a little bit of, it is sweet, right?
It's very sweet. Not at first. At first it's like, it's a little different, like a little earthy, maybe tasting a little bit of pear in there.
Okay.
Some apple maybe.
Oh, you're getting messy.
I'm getting messy now, down my chin. Vanilla?
Oh, very good. You are good. You should be part of my group of tasting fruits.
I'd love to.
Can you sense a little bit of lychees?
Yes, a little bit of lychees. Yes, and that's a very different flavor. Not everybody knows that flavor. Yeah, I see that. I taste that now that you say it.
What about passion fruit?
Yeah, it has everything in it, doesn't it?
You see?
Yeah. But it's got a big pit, a big seed to it, right? So there's not a lot of meat on it.
Yeah.
So maybe that would dissuade someone too. But boy, the flavor is tremendous.
Yeah, when I have it in season, I have to take them away from my mom. She can eat them all. Oh my God. This is mango madu. Madu in Malaysian language means honey mango. And I'm going to show you why they call it a honey mango.
And this one's green and a little bit more what we might see in the grocery store, the size and the shape, right? It looks a little bit more familiar.
More familiar, but never gets color in the skin. Always green, so you don't know when it's ready. And
how do you know when it's ready if you can't tell it by sight?
You touch it, and it's not like a rock. It's getting softer, but not mushy. So that's the perfect time to do it. This is very common. People that go for vacations to Indonesia, like Bali, and visit the markets. It has a very high price in the market. People value this fruit a lot. They call it the mango madu or the honey mango.
So you've given me a little piece. You've dug out of that middle part, the little darker part in the middle. There's no fiber in it. It's much more subtle, isn't it? It's not as sweet as the other one from Borneo. Not as sweet.
Can you taste honey? See?
And you do taste honey.
Okay.
Wow.
Good.
Wow, that's
so
very.
Why they call it the honey mango.
So how many mangoes do you grow here at Fairchild? Different kinds.
Mango, the regular mango, Mangifera indica, we have 600 different cultivars. Besides the 600 different mango cultivars that we have 35 Mangifera species. They are the fathers and the grandfathers of the mango that you recall. And we want all these gene pool to create new mangoes.
Well, thank you very much for spending all this time with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was Janet Keeler speaking with Noris Ledesma, curator of tropical fruit at Fairchild Tropical Botanic Garden in Coral Gables. Architectural Digest named it the most beautiful independent store in Florida. Tampa's Oxford Exchange was originally built in 1891, and today it serves as a mixed-use building containing a bookstore, a coffee shop, co-working space, and more, all while retaining over a century of charm with exposed brick, natural light, and details like vintage horseshoes that were unearthed during renovations. A big part of its appeal is the restaurant, offering what it calls fresh, simple meals that feature the best seasonal, local, and organic ingredients. At the helm is Richard Anderson, who recently sat down with the Zest producer Dalia Colón to share his culinary journey from dishwasher to executive chef. He also shares creative ways to use Florida's limited summer produce, including an appetizer recipe from the Oxford Exchange menu.
My name is Richard Anderson, and I'm the executive chef at the Oxford Exchange restaurant in Tampa.
For people who have not had the fortune of visiting Oxford Exchange, how do you describe it? It's not just a restaurant.
Right, it's a lot more than just a restaurant, and the joke is when I hire somebody, I tell them to come into the building, find the restaurant, and ask for me, and it always throws everybody off. What do you mean find the restaurant? But yeah, we're a multi-use space. There's a coffee bar, tea bar, retail shop, Wilbury Parker, eyeglasses, and a full-service restaurant.
And it's just a beautiful space. I mean, the aesthetic of it, I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. You've got like the exposed brickwork. What are some of the features that people are drawn to?
Just like you said, I mean, there's a lot of history in the building. A lot of the brick was recovered from the original building. The natural lighting, I think, is amazing. That's a huge draw for me every day. I love all the natural light. And the staircase. Everybody loves the staircase with all the historic photos on it. And they take pictures up there, and I think that's a huge draw, too.
And the bathrooms are gorgeous.
Yeah, I only go in the men's bathroom, but I heard the women's bathroom's great, too.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's going on in the men's, but the women's, I could live in there. Yeah. I like coming here because I have little kids, and it makes me feel like I'm adulting, but it's still kid-friendly, and I don't have to worry about them, like, breaking something. Why do you think kind of the feel of a restaurant matters? Because, of course, the food matters. I could order French fries from many different places, but I'd rather eat French fries here.
Yeah. I just think the building is comfortable for everybody. I think no matter, financial status or whatever you have going on, we see every walk of life come into this building, and everybody enjoys the same experience. They have sometimes a lot of people just come in just for coffee and to read the paper on a rainy day and people watch. Other people do the entire experience. They shop at the bookshop, they go to Warby Parker, then they have lunch, and then they go to the retail. So some people really make a day out of it. We, jokingly, we love to refer ourselves as like Disney World. Like people come in and they spend the whole day here.
It is. Going to get some glasses, order a scone, get some work done, check my email. All right, let's talk about you.
Okay.
You're the executive chef.
Yeah.
How'd you get into this? Like, let's go back.
How'd I get into cooking?
Yep, let's go all the way back.
All the way back. So rode my bike to the nicest restaurant in my hometown of South Florida, knocked on the back door and looked for a dishwashing job. So that's how I started, washing dishes, and worked my way up through basically every position in the kitchen, through prep work and through line cooking and sous chef and, executive chef all the way up.
How old were you, and is that restaurant still around?
I was 14. The restaurant is not around, but it was around all the way up until about 2008, I believe.
Wow. What's the name of it?
It was called the Cabana Bistro.
Cabana Bistro. So you're from South Florida. What town?
It's a real small beach town called Hobe Sound, Florida, but no one's really ever heard of it, so I tell everybody West Palm Beach.
I understand that.
It takes too long to explain it.
What are some of your early food memories growing up in South Florida? Like, were you the kid with the mango tree in the backyard and that sort of thing?
Yeah, South Florida. I mean, we got it all. So definitely grew up with a big fishing, hunting background myself. Lived on the water. That was just a big part of our life growing up. So my first kind of real memories in the kitchen, the chef at the time would buy whole fish from a local spear fisherman that lived on the street. So he'd pull up with his boat in the back of the restaurant. He was a licensed dealer, but we would buy whatever he caught for the day. So sometimes it was fresh Florida lobster. A lot of times it was grouper that he'd spear. And even though I was young, I had a big fishing background, so I already knew how to break down and process all the fish. So that was my job. I'd go in, see what was in his big cooler on ice, and then usually that would be what was on the menu for that night, and I'd break it down and portion it and save the best part for me to eat later. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
You are smart. You were self-taught as a chef?
Yeah, didn't go to culinary school. Kind of figured it out as I went, but had really good mentors and stuff along the way. I haven't worked at a huge variety of restaurants, but I was really lucky. I just think the mentorship that I had and the caliber of chefs that I worked under, maybe they weren't, recognized throughout the country, but they were very good, as well as just, I'm very much just self-taught. So it's always been a passion of mine, so I've picked up really quick. There's so many learning tools out there for everybody now with YouTube and all this kind of stuff. You can really cut down on your own learning time. But yeah, definitely learned in the kitchen coming up.
Wow. I watch YouTube videos, but
Right,
I ain't working at Oxford Exchange as the executive chef. What advice would you have for somebody who maybe wants to get into this field and doesn't have the training?
Do your homework and start at a restaurant you really like and respect. I think don't settle for the first thing that comes along. Try and really find somewhere that you're passionate about and that you really think would be a great opportunity to work there. And lay all your cards out. Let them know you don't have a lot of experience. Let them know that you are willing to try and it's a passion of yours and you're willing to do it. I bet so many chefs would agree. I'd rather just lay all your cards out in the first 10 minutes and let's just get it out there, because if you need to learn how to do all this stuff, as long as I know that going in, we're great. I've hired people with no kitchen experience ever to work at one of the busiest restaurants in Tampa. As long as I know that going in, then we can start from there instead of having all these expectations and then clearly you lied to me during the interview.
Yeah, you don't want the guy talking about making these fancy lobster dinners and
Anytime somebody tells me how great they are on any station, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Like Mr. Skeptical comes out.
That's true for a lot of fields.
Yeah.
All right, so how'd you make your way from South Florida up to Tampa and Oxford Exchange?
So moved up here. My girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, went to the University of Tampa. So I moved up here when she graduated.
Right across the street.
Conveniently, who would have known at the time? And started working at a local country club here in South Tampa and worked there for a few years, and then got the opportunity to see the Oxford Exchange before it was open. It was still very much under construction, and lucky me, I saw it when it was still dirt on the floors, the kitchen wasn't installed. It was very much a construction site, and just kind of fell in love with what it probably was going to be. And I had never seen anything like it either. It was this giant building that was going to have all these other, things to do in there, and rolled the dice and just decided, let's take the opportunity as a line cook. I didn't start as executive chef.
Wow, good move on your part. Yeah. Being in Florida your whole life, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I'm from Ohio. And so I can notice little differences in the way, people cook and the way people eat up north versus down here. Do you feel like there's a typical Florida customer? Is there something people are looking for either when they live in Florida or when they come here maybe to vacation?
I definitely think the vacationers expect seafood. I think if they're landlocked in the middle of the country, I think they just assume every restaurant in Florida is a seafood restaurant because we're surrounded by water on three sides. So I definitely feel that from the people that travel through seasons. As far as the typical Florida food, I don't know that we have a typical Florida food. I think there's people from everywhere. We're lucky enough to be able to get pretty much any product that we want, so I think there's tons of variety.
What advice would you offer someone ordering seafood?
I would say if you're gonna order seafood, you're gonna want to stick with the clean white fish. I don't think you're gonna want to jump into crab necessarily, or maybe like salmon or something that some people sometimes think has like a fishy, oily flavor. I would say if you're new to seafood, stick with local, snapper, grouper, mahi, something that's pretty easy. And I would definitely say if it's your first time and you're skeptical, go fried. Just crispy, crunchy, dip it in whatever you want. Everything tastes good fried.
Yeah, you can't really mess that up.
Once it's fried, it's fried. It all tastes great.
You don't know what it is. Is it alligator? Is it a French fry?
You're going to be good.
Nobody knows. Let's talk about Florida produce. We're in summer right now. What's in season? I just had a peach that I bought from the grocery store, and it tasted like heaven because it's peach season. Yeah. What are you into right now?
So Florida, I actually, as a hobbyist, had gardens basically everywhere that I've lived. So I've grown basically, not everything, but a good amount of stuff. Florida's growing season short and it's tough. So we're lucky enough. It's season somewhere everywhere. We can always get stuff from even around the country if it's not in season in Florida. What I like in the summer is kind of like your normal Florida produce. Like I love watermelon when they're really good in June, July, August. I can always tell when it's watermelon season because they're everywhere. They're in like these big end caps at the stores for like $3.
Or they're on like a pickup truck on the side of the road.
See them on 95 and 75, just cruising down, going to wherever it is they're going.
Okay, let's talk about watermelon because who doesn't love watermelon? It's so summery.
Yeah,
and
we can't be friends if you don't like watermelon.
It's so okay, then we can be friends. Yeah. It's so refreshing. But I get this huge watermelon and I hate cutting it up. Yeah. It's such a pain. And then I feel like we just can't eat it fast enough, even though we love it. What else can we do with it?
I don't personally have that problem because once the watermelon's open, I eat it all up. But I understand. So one of the things that I've always done with it, I love exercise and working out as a hobby of mine outside of here. So one of the things we'll always do, if you have extra watermelon or it's on sale and you buy a couple, I always chunk it up and freeze it. And then after a hard workout and you sweat it a ton, I make smoothies out of it. So I'll do watermelon, lemon, mint, and like pink, like Himalayan sea salt. And it almost makes like your own Gatorade.
Ooh, that's good. Electrolytes.
Really good. You got sugars right after your workout. You got a little bit of salts. It tastes awesome. It's not fake sugar. That's one of my favorite ways to use it up, even though I think a lot of people know to make watermelon juice. I love it.
When you said you like exercise, I thought you were going to suggest lifting the watermelon, like resistance training.
No, definitely like actual exercise.
They're both good. You lift it and then you drink it. It's a 2-for-1. Any other tips for watermelon or other summery produce?
Watermelon goes great with basil, with mint, with certain cheeses. Yeah.
Let's talk more about the basil mint cheese situation. What kind of cheese are we talking? And is it like a watermelon salad or are we putting it on a skewer?
They pair well together. So watermelon and feta is a pretty classic combination. It's a little bit of salty sweet. Old school Southerners, they always put salt on their watermelon, so it kind of plays off that. My mom always did that too. Halloumi's a firm, like semi-firm cheese that you could actually grill. Halloumi and watermelon go really good together with basil and balsamic. Anything that you could do that would play off that sweet salty would probably work for you. And fresh herbs, in my opinion, can really kind of go with a lot of stuff. You can put fresh mint and watermelon, basil watermelon, cilantro watermelon. You're pretty safe.
That's right up my alley. Margaritas, you cannot go wrong.
Definitely.
How about mangoes?
Mangoes, I treat them like dessert. Like once they're really that good, I love just cutting them up and eating them and kind of just having the great mango all by itself. But same idea, you can make Mango salads you could do. I'm personally don't do it a lot, especially at the restaurant, but seafood and mango goes really well together. It's a pretty classic pairing. Shrimp and mango salsa or fish and mango salsa. A lot of people do that.
Why don't you do it?
Even though it's really classic, I don't personally really enjoy it. I know it works well and people love it. It's just more of a personal thing.
Okay. How about one more? How about what can we do with corn on the cob? It's great just straight off the cob, but...
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people don't really realize when corn is really, really good and sweet and from the store, it's amazing raw. And I don't think...
I didn't say anything about raw. Now that's crazy talk.
If you try corn when it's really fresh and it's in the height of season and you cut it off the cob, it is sweet like candy and you don't have to cook it. You can and it's still great. But I love to char it, mix it with black bean and tacos, breakfast skillets if that's something that you're into, with fresh veggies and onions and kale and all that, egg. Corn, I think so universal you could, do anything with it.
What if you just have too much of something? I don't know. Do you run into this problem as a chef? Like it's like feast or famine. There are times when you have a ton of something. There are times when you don't have any. How do you kind of plan for that?
On the restaurant side, you just order smart. So if you have way too much, shame on you. You probably should have backed it down. At home, I totally understand it. You buy this stuff, it's on sale, it looks great, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, you were hungry when you got there. If you feel like it's starting to go bad, don't be afraid. One of my biggest things, we like to grill at home. I'm going to load the grill up. I'm not going to light the grill and put one corn on the cob and one chicken breast. So if you have all that and maybe you're into meal prepping and you start to feel like your produce is starting to kind of reach that time where you got to make a decision, saute it all off, roast it all off, grill it all off, saute it, freeze it. There's a lot of different options for you as long as you're willing to put in a little bit of the work to save it. I think you're good. Mm-hmm. But once it's kind of going like in that direction where you got to make a move, once you cook it, then you're good for another few days after that, whereas it probably would have got mushy and rotten and whatever.
Is this a good time to pickle things?
So this is a great question when people sometimes buy too much stuff. Maybe they bought too many cucumbers, too many onions, too many whatever, green beans, asparagus. I love to pickle anything and everything. It's one of my favorite flavors. I don't have a big sweet tooth, so anytime it's acidic and salty and crunchy, I love it. So yeah, pickle everything. We pickle onions and shallots and jalapenos and all kinds of stuff here at the restaurant too.
What's the easiest, laziest way to pickle something?
Buying vinegar, rice vinegar is one that I like to use. Adding a little bit of sugar and salt, cut up whatever it is you want to pickle and put it in a jar, pour the brine over it and just let it sit in the fridge.
How long?
Depends on what you got going on. It could be anywhere, 10 minutes, like a quick pickle on an onion, or if you're trying to make sour pickles out of cucumbers, you're into a week or more.
Okay, 10 minutes. I'm here for that. I can do that.
You can pickle some onions and they'll be great on salads.
I'll be a superhero to my family, and then put it on a salad. What about the other veggies? Are you just eating them raw? What are we doing once they're pickled?
Oh, once they're pickled? I know in our house we used to pickle asparagus and green beans, use them in Bloody Marys as garnish instead of celery. Irish family, we like to drink.
There's no judgment here. No judgment. This is a safe space.
Nobody else is listening, right? So once they're pickled, I love them on salads. I'm a big snacker on the couch, and I don't really have a sweet tooth, lucky me. So love to just eat pickled vegetables for them being pickled vegetables. And adds a lot of flavor to tacos, to sandwiches, to anything like that.
My kids would like that too.
Definitely.
We got to talk about avocados.
Yep.
I'm not really good at growing things, but I put a pit in some dirt, and now I actually have a legit little avocado tree. What can I do with it?
Well, you can have an avocado in 25 years probably from now, and it'll be a homegrown avocado, and it'll be great.
My grandchildren will enjoy guacamole.
Yes, you'll be gone, and they'll have their first avocado.
Okay, in the meantime, I'll go to the grocery store or the farmer's market, buy some avocados. What can we do with them?
One of the recipes that we did a couple years ago, and it's still on our menu today, is fried avocado wedges. So basically cutting them when they're ripe into finger-shaped size and lightly breading them in panko Japanese breadcrumb, and then lightly frying them and just using them as a dip. Very tasty, not that hard to do. So I think it's thinking outside the box a little bit. Can you take an avocado, make it crispy, and they're already so fatty and delicious already?
So it's like a chip.
It's still an avocado, so it's crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. But avocados are so nice and so fatty. We use a little sandball sour cream, so like a spicy sour cream, and it's basically think avocado French fry.
Yes. How can that be bad? Well, Chef Richard Anderson of Oxford Exchange, thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is fun. Thanks.
That was Dalia Colón speaking with Richard Anderson, executive chef of Tampa's Oxford Exchange. Richard shared his recipe for fried avocado wedges, and you can find it on our website, thezestpodcast.com. Thanks so much for joining us. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes and subscribe. We've also got a great newsletter with cooking tips and recipes and links to our stories, and you can subscribe to that through our website, thezestpodcast.com. I'm Robin Sussingham. Dalia Colón and I produce The Zest with help from Megan Tremble, Mark Hayes, and Craig George. The Zest is a production of WUSF Public Media.